you know, whatever. Most of our beliefs are the ones that keep us from doing. We go, oh, you know, Aunt Mary isn't going to like that, and, you know, the other people don't. And if you just go and do the things, they all work out. And I don't know why we feel so, what is the word, that we can't have a say in the world. And I think Bill loves to have a say in the world. He talks to everybody in the world, wherever he is. He's talking to, he got off the plane from London and he met, what's her name? The one on the island that Di went to, Princess Di.
Lady Fiona Montague?
Yeah. He just went over to her little island and had a wonderful time. And she's probably going to have 18 people sit down dinner for some of the really talkers and whatever, like Oprah and those people, and get this thing going. I mean, you just have to think out of the box and just do it. And if it doesn't work, then you do something else. You know, it just has to be that way. And I believe that we're in a renaissance of people really creating. Charlie just walked in, and he is going to hopefully do a thing with father and son, and to honor them. That's just where he's come from with his son and whatever. And what a wonderful thing to gather fathers and sons and honor them big time and have that happen. I mean, that, I don't know that's ever happened anywhere before. I never heard of the idea before Charlie told me. And then there's Debbie over there who did our Evolving magazine and whatever. I mean, there's a lot of people in this room who have already stepped out on the edge and are doing things. And I think that's what we're about all to do. And that's exciting.
Yeah. They're reading. You know, it's sort of like what Catherine said, you know, as the author, I'm sort of the inspiration and the stimulus. But then you go into your own mind, and though I've provided the sort of framework, what you get out of the book is really what you bring to it. And so there's a level on which, you know, I'd like everyone to think of themselves as a co-author and, you know, make this your book as much as, you know, it's my book. Because it really is, on a very basic, I mean, I'm just one human being, and I happen to, you know, be very blessed and have these crazy experiences that are fun to read about. But it really is a universal story. It's the story of what it means to be a human being. When people really ask me what the book is really about, it's far beyond what 2012. I mean, we use 2012 because that's the topical thing. But it's really, what does it mean to be a human being? What is a human being?
Well, that's not what we're taught.
What?
That's not what we're taught.
What do you mean?
As far as our conditioning or mimetic information, it's about being outside of ourselves. What I really got from that book was the yearbook, the 12, was of being within ourselves again and moving from that force. And I felt that connectedness directly. You know, it's there, it's real.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. So you're really the co-author because you got it. Yeah. And anyone who gets that sense, I mean, and you may have even gotten it because I just wrote it. You know, seriously, I learned more when I read the book than when I wrote the book, because I had this, oh wow, there were things that I wrote that I just wrote because, well, this is what happened, and that's when it happened, and that's how it happened. And then when I read it, I was like, wow, that's amazing. you know, and you know, so I'm really, you know, I'm not just, you know, like saying, you know, you're the, each reader recreates the essence of the message of a great book.
Absolutely.
And so, you know.
Well, it's funny because I had to keep rereading a few passages because I'm like, did that really happen or did I just imagine that?
The same thing happened to me.
Was it there?
And I have to say, and they did make me make a few changes that I would have preferred not to at the very end of the book. I had something that was much more, but it's more for people who are more sort of conscious of, you know, it was beautiful, but they didn't get it. So, but one of the things that I, you know, really delighted in is as I was reading it, even though I had supposedly written it and knew exactly what was going to happen, I couldn't wait to finish it. It was like, how's this going to work out? Even though I knew. So, you know, I don't know. It's funny, you know, to be both, you know, sort of the author and the reader. But yeah, I think that you know, you know, something, you know, grand is you know, going to happen around this book. And yeah, I think you said it very well. I mean, we all, and that's sort of what I was really trying to get across, is that everyone is Max. I mean, I happen to have that version, but you know, the reality is every single one of you, if you could recreate it, maybe, you know, it wouldn't sell as much because you can't promote it, and but you each have your own version of this story, which is true, because the ultimate, well, I won't give away for those who haven't read it, but the ultimate message of the book is, we all are the same.
So Bill,
Yeah.
you said you hope to sell how many billion?
12.
Oh, what's
So you need to sell some right now.
But when you sell 12 million, will you come back?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a
When
good
you sell
idea.
10,000.
What?
That's a good idea.
It's one thing to be sure
Yeah.
you sell 10,000, but when you
No,
sell 12 million,
yeah, absolutely. Because one of the things that is true that most people, and it depends,
Kathy Featherstone told me to say that, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, like, and I've seen even with that cart, like in Eckhart, maybe more pure. I don't, compare myself with, he's really, almost like a monk in his purity. But, but he has handlers and but I know enough about the business that I really think I'm going to avoid having handlers and all that stuff. And, what? Well, Catherine. She's a big handler. But it really isn't about, I mean, obviously, yes, I would prefer to be, addressing 24,000 people today instead of 24. But not really, because I don't know, the people in this room, you may generate 24,000 sales through your enthusiasm and what you're doing. Plus, it's all about, all we have is right now. I mean, this is it. So, here we are, and, we'll enjoy it. And, I'm sure I'm going to be visiting Catherine again, and so hopefully at the time we can all celebrate the 12 millionth copy. No, but I'd be happy to.
Can you speak a little bit more about the communication groups that you're talking about, so I can get a better feel of
Courage Communications?
Yeah, like that.
Well, it's just, I've had for a very long time, and I have had these spiritual masters come to me 20 years ago and told me that this was my destiny, that this is something I was going to create, or at least be the visionary behind it. They said it's going to be the 21st century, and so we aren't going to call you a mogul, and you aren't necessarily going to own it, but you're going to be the visionary behind the largest media company in the history of the world. And it must be much bigger than, at the time, I think it was Turner was the big one, the Murdoch's company. And it's going to be a media company and a communications company. And I have a very clear vision because I've worked in publishing and I've worked with the people that created. I mean, I literally worked with the people that created almost all of the major technology companies, the internet companies. I know all the people. And including, like Tom Anderson, who created MySpace. I was in when he was 14 years old. I was just in that space. Right. So I understand, how you can go from nothing to something big very quickly. But more importantly, I also understand, because I have a great respect for the old media. The father founded a publishing company in 1936. So I understand the old and the new, and that you have to kind of take elements of the old while creating the new, and that you really need to have a vision of empowering the best and the brightest on a mission. And the mission has to be much more than just making money. There's nothing wrong with making money. Totally like that. But if that's the only reason you exist,
right,
it doesn't make sense. And so I have very specific companies I would like to buy. Some companies that I think are doing things, better than others. And I would use traditional business, managers, because we need them. Select the best, I hope. And I would also buy companies that aren't necessarily doing things so well. That could be changed. I get rid of the fat of all these companies. But more importantly, and you need to do that so that you're profitable immediately. You do need to be profitable. But once you start to be profitable, instead of sort of being on these, what I really consider ego trips, I'm bigger than you, and I, can make $1 billion, and you can't, whatever it is their game is. Sort of say, okay, we're going to make $1 billion, and guess what? We're going to take 950 million of it, maybe a little reserve, and we're going to reinvest it in buying additional media companies, maybe some that on the surface don't look like they make sense, but we really like what they're doing, and we really like the way they're doing it. And so that you have more of a two-tier company where you have a group of distinguished people, and the kind of people I'm thinking of are people that I think have contributed at a high level, people like the Dalai Lama and Bill Clinton and maybe Gates and some Bono, people like that, who kind of have a role to ensure that you're on mission. And then the rest of it is very much you get the best business operators to operate your business.
So by kind of bringing that all together and having, you might want to call it control of it, but it's not really. I know what you're saying. There is a control, but maybe in the new way.
Yeah, sort of. I like Dee Hock's word chaotic. sort
Okay.
of, it's kind of
Right.
more of a